This is Critical Nonsense, our high-lowbrow show about culture, science, and tech. This week, I ask everyone about being cool.
Woo! How deep is your love for me? This is what a joy sounds like.
I did not expect a True Hill moment. I really did not. You got me. So this is what Naren sounds like. That was good. That was really good.
And this is what an executive producer and soundtrack to the movie Rush Hour, Jess Vander, sounds like.
Hi, this is Jess.
I have to interject that the song 5 Steps is a banger R&B 90s love song. It is Drew Hill at its Drew Hilliest, and it is Cisco, like, you know, pre-solo Cisco, just at his most Cisco. And I think we've even done an episode in the past. Maybe we haven't. Maybe this will be a future episode. But of, like, you know, musicians finding their signature vocal sound, vocalists. So you have like we all know Cisco's yeah, like he does it in every song. He did it when he was in Drew Hill. He did it after when we went solo. But then you've also got like Michael Jackson's like that affectation. Like those little things are ways for you to always know an artist, not just by like the songs or the notes. And it was such a thing, and I don't think we have as much of it anymore, and it makes me really sad. Makes me very
old sad. Man, look at my, like the Neil Young's version. I'm like,
oh wow,
yeah,
yes. Yeah. There's so many. Ooh, all right. This is future episode topic. We'll figure that one out. Yeah. We'll take that one. But Jess, it seems that you have a topic for us, since I've just like unilaterally decided that the house was clean. So I just jumped right through that.
I do have a thing to share. I found this article that directed me to a paper that was recently published by the American Psychological Association, titled "Cool People," and obviously,
you wanted to talk to us about it.
I was like, I'm like, we have to read as personally as self-described, maybe uncool person, had to read this paper, and as papers go, actually, like, really digestible for even a layperson to read like me. So if you're open, listeners, to reading a scientific paper, this is a good one. It's interesting and fun. But it was specifically interrogating the question of what it means to be a cool person, how that's different from generally being somebody who's good or positively regarded by others, and how much that spans across different cultures and the world. And what was really interesting was that there was like a definitive, yes, cool is a specific thing that most people agree on, means 6 core attributes. And those 6 things, right. And those 6 things are powerful, hedonistic, adventurous, autonomous, open, and extroverted traits. And through this, they end up sort of pulling that apart from sort of essential good traits and what that sort of distinction and what this, like, what is the value of cool in society? Like, why has this persisted and so on? And so, of course, there's probably more that I can share about this with you, but ultimately I wanted to bring this question to the table of, why is it so important to be cool?
Well, you came to the right audience in Aaron and I. I mean, we just checked all of those boxes.
Literally
like,
everyone.
I was just like, check.
Yeah. Like, just the way I said yeah is evidence of the fact that I meet all criteria. Honestly, my mind is a little bit in a pretzel. And so if you'll bear with me, I'm going to answer your question by not answering your question at first, because I have to take you through all the little sizzle launches that happened in my brain as you
the little salt crystals across the pretzel.
Yes. So as we go into this pretzel, one of them is I find it very fascinating that the term cool is one that's like withstood multiple generations of slang. Like, it's very rare to have a term that actually crosses multiple generations, and it's been around since like the 20s. Like, you can hear people say that's cool, and the meaning is the same.
Yes, actually, not to cut your salting
Please.
off, but
yes.
specifically the paper talks about this, referring to the lexical hypothesis, which is the idea that societies only preserve labels that communicate salient and socially relevant differences between people, right? So things like rad and like
tubular,
like all of the different things that have not stood the test of time, but cool has stood the test of time, is perhaps evidence unto itself that it does mean something uniquely important to us.
That's so freaking cool. So freaking cool.
Case in point.
Literally unintentional. So the other salt crystal on the pretzel was around like how, and of course I'm going to say this, but like there's an interesting book. I will margle the name of it right now, but I'll fix it later, which is, I believe, The Birth of Cool or The Birth of Uncool. One is a Miles Davis album. The other is a book about 7-Up branding cool in the 70s, and actually like, you know, the way that it was positioning itself as the unsoda and positioning itself as a countercultural icon. And the whole book is really about like how brands and how companies try, and at times successfully, insert themselves into the stream of cool. But that it is not only extremely hard, it is also very difficult to replicate over time because of the generational issue. Like, you're only cool for a certain generation or a certain amount of time. So anyway, like I said, I will unsnargle bargle the actual name of that book and have it by the special thanks. Last errant salt crystal, just like the relationship between race and coolness, and how black is always American black is always synonymous with global cool. That is the thing.
Okay, a specific subsection of this paper also talks about like, you know, is there a piece of this that, you know, based on previous studies, like, did coolness emerge from Black culture originally? Some scholars discussing about how during slavery and segregation, Black individuals practiced emotional restraint to assert autonomy, preserve dignity, and protect themselves from potential dangers of openly expressing themselves, which is really interesting, you know, for that place in time. But if you'll permit me this like really potentially out of left field sort of comparison, and this is something that they break down, is that if you have seen 21 Jump Street,
the new one, or the
original
one?
Or film?
The film, new, with Channing Tatum and
Judd Apatow. The guy.
Oh, no.
Oh my God, he's short. Seth Rogen. No, not Seth Rogen. The one who's friends with Seth Rogen.
No. Jonah Hill. Sorry.
Jonah Hill. There it is. Yes.
Jonah Hill.
And they're not friends anymore. They broke up. But yes.
Wow.
They had a whole.
There's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, but remember, they come in and they think that expressing, you know, emotional restraint and is like what is cool, because that's what they remember from when they go to high school, and then they show up at this new high school, and all of the cool kids are like, "What are you doing? Like, that's not cool behavior." And what they found in this study is that, like, that idea of coolness and its origins doesn't appear to apply today. And that, like, if you have, you know, people who are like not smiling in photos, they are, you know, according to studies that have been done, people say that those people seem much less cool than those who are smiling, which is really interesting to say, at least on this specific subject of like emotional restraint as means to represent autonomy and how that ties to Black history and Black culture, may have diverged, at least over time, from how we all perceive of cool today, which doesn't mean, you know, it's not still connected in other ways, but like in that specific way, I thought that was fascinating, because it's like, we've converged around like different idea, like a new, persistent, and perhaps even different idea of cool than what was maybe sort of its start.
Could you list the 6 again?
Yes. So it's powerful, hedonistic, adventurous, autonomous, open, and extroverted.
Yeah, The one that feels the most the one that I probably like most likely would have gone to in some capacity is that autonomous one, that like independence agency type of thing. I think the others all make sense to me and like I get it, but that one, like you have those sort of historical sort of like totems of like the James Dean example, the Miles Davis, like those types of people. And one of the things that in my mind is like that autonomous thing is like not caring what other people think. Like I'm sort of quoting here, but the idea of like you have a version of how you think you should comport yourself that is independent of how others think you should comport yourself, which in my mind still ties to the example that you gave from sort of like Black history and segregation and all of those things, where sort of how you had described it from the paper is this idea that like you needed to create a internal locus of control as a means to sort of combat the outside world. But that same idea, right, still that like you're marching to the beat of your own drummer, like phrases that we have, right? Like this idea that I know what I think is good, and the openness, like I'm not going to yuck someone else's yum. I don't feel a need to judge other people's version of cool. I have my own version and I can like march forward with that.
Exactly. And I think that is the thing about like it is the autonomousness, the autonomy, not the emotional restraint. That's the cool part, because of this return to center of not caring what other people think. And like spoiler, the conclusion of the paper is like basically about this idea and what it might be saying about our cultures. And the way what it suggests is basically like is it possible that coolness is more functioning like a social reward that incentivizes cultural change in economies that have become increasingly dependent on creativity and innovation. Basically, an alternative status hierarchy for thinking for yourself, being like new ideas and doing things differently. And that the culture that we are in, or even, around the world.
That's fascinating.
Like that, like this aspirational goal of being like, what if we try something new? And that is like the thing that we are putting on the pedestal.
That's so fascinating.
I'm deeply obsessed. That's so cool. And it's interesting as well because I kept on thinking about almost the tension or the conflict between like the self-independence and the social fluidity of like if you are expressing a certain cool, you are expressing your own code of conduct or code of values, but because it's being socially approved by others, and it's also being socially approved in multiple circles and in multiple spaces, you have the ability to move throughout those spaces and to bring those ideas into different spaces that you may not otherwise be accepted into. And I'm thinking about how, like, for some reason, I keep on thinking of, like, Serge Gainsbourg or something like that. It's like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I think about the most stereotypical French mod beat poet thing. And the reason that I'm bringing it up is that cool, like, there's cool in Japan. There's cool in France. There's cool there's cool around the world.
Exactly.
And it serves that. It's very cool to see. Oh, God, that word. It's very interesting to see how it is then used exactly the way that this paper is positing. That it creates latitude for that, even in cultures that are restrictive.
It also explains the ephemerality of cool. Why something stops being cool when someone else is now bandwagoning, and then one restaurant blows up on TikTok and now it's ruined, not just because it's too popular, but it's because the thing that made it special was that it was different, and the people who maybe were drawn to it didn't care about whatever it meant or whatever it said. But then later on, the thing that becomes the draw is to, again, sort of pile on to what is already being done, which sort of is a knock against the sort of autonomous, the behavior, the sort of key principles of coolness. And that creates this sort of, the dwindling, the diminishing, the half-life of cool. Because it's like, not cool now because you ruined it.
And this idea of an alternative hierarchy, bringing social status outside of more established hierarchies of status is really interesting, and you can see it. Like, I haven't thought about it until right now, but like you can see it in different industries or things like that, right? Like, think about traditionally creative industries, right? Like music, like advertising, whatever. You always have the, historically what they would have said is like the creative and the suit, right? Mm-hmm. And the suit is forced to play within the existing hierarchies, and the creative is playing within these alternative hierarchies, right? And so and you need both of those things to function, but they don't get along with each other as like the tropes of those things. But it is exactly that, right? Like in like old advertising, the creatives didn't dress like everybody else. They wouldn't show up to meetings. They wouldn't do these other things because they were trafficking in cool, which allowed them the permission to like not follow the rules. Whereas like the suits weren't trafficking in cool, and they had to play within the traditional hierarchy. And you see it in music too, right? Like a manager being like, I need you to show up on time to like sound check. And the other person's like, I was out like partying and doing whatever.
Stop talking bad about Lauryn Hill, Joey. Stop talking bad about Lauryn Hill and her not showing up to any concerts ever. How rude. How rude. Yeah,
I remember I was talking to we went to go look at a space, and they were having a Lauryn Hill concert on the roof that evening. And there was like a suit who was literally like, the show starts at 9, but it's Lauryn Hill, so we don't know when the show is starting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm going to be seeing Sister Act 3, but I'm not sure if it's ever going to come out. So that's where I'm at. Jess, can you corner this?
Can you corner cool?
All I can say is like this has been one big ad for a really compelling scientific paper read. Put it on your weekend reading list, folks. Like some of the charts are really cool. We didn't even talk about the goodness. We didn't talk about the sort of the global consistency stuff, but there's a lot of good in here that we'll add into the show notes. But I just think there's something so alluring about this question, because it is, in fact, now, evidence shows that it's a thing that we all kind of get and understand in a way. And that's why it's kind of like moth to a flame. This is like the one kind of thing that maybe we'd all be interested in taking a closer look at. And who knows what it's telling us about the things that we value in our societies. And maybe, you can do a fun quiz like I did with some of my friends, of being like, let me just ask you some of these questions and see if you come to the same cool conclusions as the paper, and suddenly do a bunch of little weird social experiments with your friends. Okay, I think that's
Science is cool, guys.
Science is very cool.
Science is really cool, okay?
Critical Nonsense is a Sylvain production.
Brought to you by... Cool.
As always, we'd like to thank our executive producer and Jess Vander.
I don't have enough. I'm not putting you in a thong, Alex Contel. But we thank you for your sound engineering prowess. We appreciate you.
We'd like to thank our programming coordinator and boom chicka wow wow, Les Jacobs.
We also, guys, why don't I have the list in front of me every week? Please.
Amy Waters,
Christy Jensen.
Jensen.
Damn it, every time. This is the worst way to thank everyone every
Nora
week.
Mestrich.
But who are you?
It's really terrible. Sorry, Gilbert, Nora Mestrich, Christy Jensen, Amanda Medina, and Amy Waters. You're never forgotten. You're actually so important to me that I cannot get your names into my mouth because you live in my brain. So thank you for your production.
It was kind of gross.
That is.
not like just kind of like graphically. As always, thanks, Elen.
So sorry, Len.
Special thanks to Matt Dinman. I've been reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. So fucking fun. So fun.
You know, I'll throw out a reading recommendation too. I just finished Dayspring by Anthony Olivier, and it's a really queer, raunchy retelling of the relationship between Jesus and the disciple Peter, and it's a retelling of the entire New Testament. It is a ride. It is something.
For something
Literally.
For something slightly tamer, but not necessarily, I can't say because I haven't read what you're describing. But also, I've been reading A Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and it's also about the queer relationship between Achilles and Patroclus.
Yes.
Patrocles?
And it is,
Is it pronounced Patroclus?
Patroclus, yeah. What? Wow. Today he learned.
I thought it was Patrocles. That's how I've always heard it.
I mean,
hey,
I'm not Greek. I don't know anything.
I don't know. This is how the audiobook narrator says it. So just
I take them
TIL.
for sure. Yes. Thanks for coming to our book club, listeners.
Yeah, there it is.
Love it.
Well, we did it.
Super
Bye. Super cool. Super kawaii.
Super cool.
Super cool in Japanese. Tubular.